Now, I went to the actual press release because other stuff was from CNBC. I wanted to find a little more details here, and this is interesting. Cruz joined Intuit 19 years ago, serving in increasing levels of leadership across the company, including creating Intuit's partner and developer platform, leading the self-employed solutions team, and then serving the small business group's chief product officer from 2017 to 2019. During that time, he oversaw and implemented multiple strategic initiatives that transformed business inside Intuit into sustainable growth engines for the company. Quote, with his depth of experience in product development, his passion for serving customers, and his long-standing commitment to empowering and enabling small businesses, and his proven track record of developing and inspiring his team, Alex is a perfect leader to take PayPal forward and accelerate the company's growth opportunities, said the chairman of the board for PayPal. The board search committee worked diligently and thoroughly to find the right candidate to take PayPal into the next stage of growth and expansion, and we are confident Alex is that person, they say. Okay. Now, if we think about Intuit, right? Intuit, one of the most amazing companies, certainly in the public markets in the world. Like in the business model Intuit's built over the past couple decades is remarkable, right? And obviously, Chris was a huge part of building out Intuit over time, right? In taking more and more higher and higher, leadership roles with the company. And if we think about Intuit, it's very much a business focused on numbers, right? Intuit's not some company that's just, wants to deal with some big, large corporation, right? If anything, Intuit's like against that, right? Intuit wants to have, as many small, like if you start a small business, Intuit wants you using their product, right? And QuickBooks and everything they got going on. TurboTax, like everything, right? MailChimp, everything, right? So Intuit's really focused on that. And if you think about PayPal is really a numbers game as well, right? On the Braintree side, sure, they have some major, huge companies, some like Fortune 500 companies they work with, right? But at the end of the day, when it comes to PayPal, they're very focused on big numbers, right? They have 400 million plus users. They got a lot of small businesses that use PayPal for different transactions, to send money, especially to folks that might do work, independent contractors outside of different countries and things like that, right? And so PayPal is a very complicated business. It's a very complex business. Everybody thinks they can just duplicate that, and they try and they fail. And at the end of the day, it's a scaled out business. It's very large, and it's a numbers game for PayPal, right? It's a numbers game. And so clearly, the board's looking at this and they say, we want a numbers focused man, right? Now, you're ready to see Intuit's stock price over the time that this gentleman has worked for the company, right? Be ready to be shocked, okay? Basically, Intuit's stock price has gone up about 2,600% or so since this gentleman worked for Intuit, obviously, right? Intuit's been an absolute rocket ship of growth and just steady growth year after year after year after year, and building into just, obviously, an incredible company. I've owned Intuit stock in the past. It's one of the best companies you can possibly invest in usually. It trades at a richer valuation. That's something you have to deal with, right? But like the stock price speaks for itself, right? So here we have a very interesting dynamic, right? Where we go to this gentleman, he comes over from an A company, okay? He's an A player. You don't rise to the ranks he rose to without being an A player. So he's an A player working for an A company. That creates a superhero, okay? It's very, very special. If you can have an individual that's an A player work for an A company, it's very special, and it's an A stock. How many stocks have had that sort of performance over the years? Okay, there's definitely some out there, but there's not a lot. Like those are very, very special companies. So he knows what it takes to build a massive company into a company that is very respected by Wall Street, wants to give you a premium price tag on your stock price and have a stock price doing tremendous over the years. And if I had to guess, the man's made a lot of money from Intuit over time, right? Like if you are getting stock options all these years, right, as you rise the ranks, and your stock goes up 2,000+% over the time you are an employee there, right? I'm going to say he's probably made a fortune. Now remember what I told you guys. I said PayPal is $1 billion opportunity. If the CEO that comes in PayPal knocks out of the ballpark for the next 5 years, based upon what they will likely get for stock options, and based upon what the stock price could do over the next 5 years, there's a potential to make $1 billion from this company, okay? A potential. And so we're talking about this is a life changer. If Chris can come in, get this company back to the glory days of a $300+ stock again, I mean, the amount of compensation he would make, and then when he would go to get his next contract, essentially, oh my gosh, it would be silly money. Like I said, this is a $1 billion opportunity. And how many $1 billion opportunities? Like, usually if you want to make $1 billion, you got to like start your own company and build it into the next Meta or something crazy, right? The next Intuit, the next PayPal. Like, you don't usually get those $1 billion opportunities from being a CEO of a company. This is a true $1 billion opportunity. And so I think this man sees like what PayPal can be, what its stock price can do, and probably is recognizing it, this is a pretty extraordinary opportunity here, okay? Due to the nascency of the generative AI market, it's unsurprising that Palantir stock has been rewarded in inflated valuations. Once again, how is this inflated valuations? Like if you look at where Palantir's growth is long term, and you look at where this company's profitability should come from in 2024 and in future years, and when you take into account the fact that this company's at infant stage of profitability, remember, they just are getting profitable, right? They're just getting operating incomes in a good place, like just barely, like in the last few quarters here. So we're talking about, where's this company going to be 3 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out, 7 years out in terms of profitability? Well, as long as they execute on this business pretty well, I mean, I can tell you, they're going to make today's numbers look like a complete joke, right? And so, like, man, when you're at the infant stage of profitability, this is literally inning one of profitability for Palantir. Literally right now, we're in inning one. Inning one, okay? Long way to go in regards to that, right? The same exuberance has also been observed by AI SaaS peers such as Microsoft, NVIDIA, CrowdStrike, C3 AI, with elevated EV to revenue valuations compared to their one-year means. Oh, 1 year means nothing, okay? Last year, no one wanted to own anything in relation to growth stocks, AI-related, Palantir, none of these stocks. No one wanted any piece of them. So to look at where things were at over the past year is just silly, in my personal opinion. Things got way oversold. Should Palantir ever been trading at $5 or $6? Not in my personal opinion. That was stupid. But it did it, and that's what happened, right? So, like, to look at where the stock was at a year ago, 9 months ago, versus now, it's not a very intelligent game, in my personal opinion. However, Palantir has more than doubled from the May 2023 bottom of $7.38, which was ridiculous. It was that low, retesting its Q4 2021 support levels. Due to the overly fast and furious rally, we are not surprised at the rapid profit taking over the past few days. That's probably, definitely some Wall Streeters there. Due to the potential volatility in elevated short interest. And by the way, okay, let me mention one last very important thing, okay? One very last important thing. Palantir should always trade rich. It should always trade at a multiple that's way above the market. One, they're going to be likely seen as a company that's going to way outgrow the average company. Two, people are really convinced of Palantir's long-term growth prospects, right? And three, they kind of get put into like the SaaS type business models, and guess what? Those are the best of breed business models. They always command the biggest valuations on them. So if you think Palantir's expensive today, just keep in mind, you're always going to think it's expensive. There never should be a day, other than maybe the last year when it was like stupid and they were selling the stock at $6 a share and no one wanted a piece of Palantir, right? Outside of like a once in a 10-year experience, Palantir is going to trade rich, and it's going to continue to trade rich, in my personal opinion, for years to go in the future.